It's been 10 years since the original Super Meat Boy helped pave the way for the indie game marketplace back during the early days of the Xbox Arcade. Since then, Team Meat has gone back to the drawing board to craft the long-awaited sequel that sadly might not be what you expected. Nevertheless, Super Meat Boy Forever is an admirable sequel, just not without a few compromises. Taking place after the events of the original Super Meat Boy, we meet up with our lovable duo, Meat Boy and Bandage Girl. Since we last saw them, the two have welcomed a lovely daughter named Nugget. While on a family picnic, the evil Dr. Fetus from the first game returns, beating up the couple and kidnapping precious little Nugget. While not the most riveting story, a lot more production value was implemented with this sequel, with plenty of new cutscenes totaling up to about half an hour of new animations. The hard work here doesn't go unnoticed, and in many ways, almost feels like a time capsule to the early days of Newground Flash animations. Perhaps due in part to being released during the holidays, playing through Super Meat Boy Forever's story felt nostalgic and cozy. Back to the days of booting up my Xbox 360 arcade and downloading the first game on my 512MB card. Back to simpler times. Super Meat Boy was critically acclaimed for its challenging but fair handcrafted levels. Having precise control of Meat Boy both in his movement and jump, in conjunction with the immaculate level design, made Super Meat Boy one of the standout platformers in the industry. In its sequel, Team Meat has flipped the script on level design, opting for a new auto-run approach to Forever's gameplay. Admittedly, the news came to me with disappointment as free control of Meat Boy was one of the most important factors to its well-designed levels. Regardless, after playing the sequel, I have quite a few takeaway thoughts. While the auto-run approaches just bring some bad prejudices in our industry, Super Meat Boy Forever isn't held back by it completely. Players still have control of Meat Boy's jump along with the punch that pushes him or any of the other playable characters, which there's quite a few of, forward. In addition to this major control change is a new approach to levels that take procedurally generated chunks. While parts of levels are still handcrafted, these are done in chunks that in combination with other segments make up full levels. In that sense, every level is randomized, helping to add to the variety of the gameplay, but at the cost of quality. During my playtime, I came across some chunks that would freeze my movement or just collide with other chunks, keeping me from progressing further into the level. While 99% of the time this approach to level design works, when it doesn't, the flaws of this new system over the original start to show. Part of the charm of Super Meat Boy's levels was that despite being on the same levels over time, they offered fun challenges that made revisiting them and improving our scores a great time. That's lost in the sequel. Furthermore, it's hard to even analyze what's happening in a level anymore because of that auto-run design. Anytime I would die, which was quite a bit in this game, I struggled to analyze the situation as I couldn't stop and look at my surroundings. The best I could do was try to pause the game at the right time and then try to look around the UI for a view. Over the course of the 6-hour campaign, I enjoyed my time playing through Super Meat Boy Forever, but I couldn't help but shake the feeling that something was missing. Luckily, it isn't all bad changes, and in some moments, this new design style really shines, like in its content and boss battles. Boss battles are easily the best part of the sequel. While they completely change the layout of levels, they work within the limitations of the auto-run controls that feel cleverly implemented here. You're not given direction as to how to fight these bosses, but immediately jumping on walls or objects around you, you'll quickly figure it out. On top of the amazing boss battles, there's quite a bit of content here. While of course you'll in theory have hundreds of variations of different levels, you'll also have Dark World versions of each of these that make the already challenging levels all the more hard. Playing through these levels and just the original base campaign unlocks more characters for the added replayability as well. Overall, Super Meat Boy Forever isn't a bad game by any means, it's actually a lot of fun. However, the changes made to the original formula, while they do introduce some cool ideas, they don't feel as fleshed out nor as great in quality as the original. The end result is something that feels mutated from the original, and though it succeeds in some aspects, it feels lackluster in comparison. Super Meat Boy Forever is absolutely gorgeous. The animation on display is fluid and smooth with a level of quality to it that left me wanting to rewatch all the game's cutscenes. Even if the story was simple, there was plenty of personality in these animations that kept a smile on my face. In regards to the presentation of levels, they feature a layered backdrop that look great in movement, though I wish there was a bit more animation to them. For example, I love the sun staring down at me in this level, and I would have loved to see some sort of subtle movement with something like these chains in this other level. When it came to performance, I had no trouble running this on my PC, playing specifically the Epic Games Store copy for this review. Visuals were sharp and the frame rates never stuttered on my end. However, other friends that picked it up on Switch have told me that there's an occasional slowdown on Switch, in the moments where new chunks are trying to load. These moments are rare though, and according to them, never hindered their experience. While I personally didn't play this on Switch, I wanted to take note of that in case anyone was hoping to pick this up on Switch over the PC version. Playing through Super Meat Boy Forever, I greatly missed Tandy B's soundtrack. While the music in Super Meat Boy Forever isn't bad, it isn't particularly memorable either. It does at least get progressively better, especially after the first world, but it never did hit the highs of the first game's music. I like that Team Meat at least kept a similar presentation style in how the UI has the narrator screaming the title screen all the time. In many ways, Super Meat Boy Forever feels more like a spin-off title than an actual sequel, and had it actually been released like that, I think it would have greatly benefited from it. As a sequel, certain expectations are put on it, and while it is a good game, it's lost a lot of the charm and quality with these new additions. It's still worth checking out, and I wouldn't let the auto-run design cloud your judgment of this title. Just don't expect more of the same that you previously played. Hey everyone, thanks so much for checking out this review. If you want to see what I'm up to outside of these reviews, be sure to follow me on Twitter or join my Discord where a bunch of viewers and I talk on the daily and just play video games. Of course, all the links to those and more are in the description. Let me know what you've been currently playing in the comments, and I'll see you all in the next one.